This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. Sefer and Chanukah. A very interesting topic today. I am sure that this is something that we've never heard before. If you did, I'd be very surprised. In terms of the Sudas of Chanukah, the meals of Chanukah, are they Sudas mitzvah? You know, families get together, they have Chanukah parties, they play dreidel, they eat latkes, and they do other things which are complete waste of time. Right? So, are these a Sudas mitzvah, or is it a Sudas harashos? So, the Tashbeis Katan, Rabbeinu Shimshon Bar Tzadok, was one of the Talmidim Marami Rotenberg. In fact, the Tashbeis was allowed into the Maram's prison cell in Einsesheim, where the Maram taught Rabbeinu Shimshon 590 Piskei Dinim, which are recorded in the Tashbeis Katan. And he records here in Psak Din, Kufayin, B'Chanukah, the Mishtois, the parties of Chanukah, Lechal, Zehu, Sudas Harashos. This is a Suda, it's you have the discretion. You want to have it. You don't, no, there's no mitzvah. There's no mitzvah. It's like a Tuesday lunch. It's no different than Tuesday lunch. Kedamrinam Msecha Shabbos, Beperek, Bamem Adlikin, Asaim Yom Tif. What is Chanukah a Yom Tif for? Halal, Haida. No dreidel, no latka, no suda. V'omer Maram, says Maram Erotenberg Dafka lahalal l'haidois, avaloi l'mishto l'simcha. So you want to get together on a Tuesday night for a Chanukah party? Fine. It's a Suda Sarashus. You're allowed to eat supper whenever. You could have supper every night. So you could have supper Chanukah also. Is it a mitzvah to get together? No. Are you going to get reward for it? No. Just don't make sure it's not too long, because it's a waste of time. That's what the Marami Rotenberg is saying. Says Shal Sechuvas Marshal, no. He disagrees. He says, mitzvah l'smayach v'Chanukah. There's a mitzvah of simcha on Chanukah. Umisham hachi kara yom tov. Says Marshal, not like Marami Rotenberg. Marami Rotenberg reads it, kavam, right? The Gemara says, l'shano hacheres, asam b'kavam, yom tov. What is it a yom tov for? Halal v'haida. Says Marshal, no, it's not. You see, the way Maram reads the words, Yom Tif, what is it a Yom Tif for? Now let's explain. Halal v'haida. Says Marshal, no, these are three separate enactments. Number one is Yom Tif. Number two is Halal. Number three is Haida. Chanukah is a Yom Tif. Ve'hein yemei simcha. And that is why the Rambam, when the Rambam codifies Hilchos Chanukah, he says, they were kovei that Chanukah are yemei simcha. Ve'oimrim halal, fine. V'chein pasuk haRambam Mordechai Aruch, fine. So the machlokes between the Tashbeis, Marami Rotenberg, who say it's Sudas Rishus, and the Marshal, who says it's a Sudas Mitzvah. Comes the Matei Moshe. Who's the Matei Moshe? Rav Moshe Mas was a Talmud of the Marshal, and Rav Moshe Mas says, he quotes the opinion of Marami Rotenberg. He quotes Moiri Hagoin. By the way, does anybody know who the again, we just mentioned. Who is the Rabbi of the Matei Moshe, the Marshal? He quotes his Rabbi who says it's a Sudas mitzvah. Says the Matei Moshe, Ve'anu noyagin lezamer. You know what our minhag is? Bottom line. Is it a mitzvah or is it not a mitzvah to have a Suda on Chanukah? Says Matei Moshe, our minhag is lezamer zmirois, we sing songs, ushvachos, the Suda shemar mehem, ve'have Sudas mitzvah ladas kulam. If you sing nigunim, if you sing zmirois, shiros, the shvachos, that elevates the Suda into a Sudas mitzvah. How do we paskin? So it depends if you're an Ashkenazi or a Sephardi. Sephardim, when it comes to Chanukah, Sephardim are a bunch of Litvaks. They say the Sudas of Chanukah, Sudas Rishus. There's no mitzvah to have a Suda on Chanukah. Yeah? Sorry. What can you do? Right? You have other perks, but not when it comes to Chanukah. Yeah? Riboy hasudas shamar b'mahem heim sudas harashus shaloi kavam l'mishav simcha. I don't even know why. Maybe here this we're passing like the Rambam over here. The Rambam says he makes simcha, but the Marambet Yosef paskins in Shulchan Aruch. Riboy sudoy shamar b'mahem heim sudas rishus. Says Ramah. Some say there's a little bit of a mitzvah because mishum deva oisen hayomim hayachanukah samizbeach. V'noyagin loymar zmirois v'sishbachos v'sudois shemarben bahem v'oz have sudas mitzvah. So the Rama paskins halacha l'maisa that if you sing zmirois v'sishbachos v'ribbon shalom, it elevates the suda to become a sudas mitzvah. Now, when we say it elevates it to become a sudas mitzvah, you have to know. You look in the Kaf HaChaim. Kaf HaChaim says that means the Gemara tells us that some Talmidei Chachamim do not eat at a sudas rishus. For example, Rav loy mishani, the Gemara in Chulin says, misudas rishus. Rav did not eat supper, right? Rav didn't have meat at Tuesday night, unless it was a pidyon haben, a bris milah, a chasana.
That's a sudas mitzvah.
Oh, right, that's a sudas mitzvah. But a sudas rishus, there were some Talmidei Chachamim that were not nene from a sudas rishus. So here the Ramah is saying that if you sing Zmiros at a Chanukah party, it becomes a Sudas Mitzvah. It says in Mishnah Berurah, look at number 5. Mishnah Berurah and Siman Tafresh Ayin, Sivkat and Tes, Ratzaloymar, Betziruf Zeh. You know when it's a Sudas Mitzvah on Chanukah? With this combination. What's the combination? Chanukah party, Zmiros. What does that mean? If let's say on a Tuesday night, you gather your family together for dinner, and you say, everybody, let's sing! And you sing Nishmas Kol Chai, and you sing every beautiful song you could think of. Is it a Sudas Mitzvah? No. It's not a Sudas Mitzvah. It's a Sudas Rishus. But I'm singing Zmiros! Good for you. Wonderful. Just don't invite me, right? I don't need to. It's a Sudas Rishus. If I sing Zmiros Wednesday afternoon for lunch, it's a Sudas Rishus. Just because you sing Zmiros, it doesn't make it a Sudas Mitzvah. Fine. Is a Chanukah Sudas Mitzvah? No, the Rama is saying it's not. So, I don't understand. 0 plus 0 still equals 0. A Chanukah Suda is not a Sudas Mitzvah. Zmiros don't make it are not a Sudas Mitzvah. But the two of them together, it becomes a Sudas Mitzvah? I mean, whoa. You can't add up things that don't add up. Chanukah, the Ramah is concluding, Chanukah is not a Sudas Mitzvah. We know when you sing Zmiros, it doesn't make it a Sudas Mitzvah. But somehow this combination, Chanukah with Zmiros, that makes it a Sudas Mitzvah. Why? Either it is or it's not. You want to say it is, that's what the Marshal says. Chanukah Sudas is a Sudas Mitzvah. You want to say it's not, that's what Marami Rutenberg says. It's not. But where do we get this mumbo jumbo? Where do we get the? You take a little of this, you sprinkle it, take some Chanukah, you mix together an Al Anisim, stir it up a little bit, now you have a Sudas Mitzvah. Yeah, well, what kind of invention is this? Pasuk in Parshas Miketz. Right? Parshas Miketz. So in case you didn't make Havdalah yet, so we're still in Miketz.
It's Monday only.
Still only Monday. Fine.
Yeah.
Says the pasuk, "Vayar Yosef itam es Binyamin." Yosef sees with them Binyamin. Vayomer la'ashar al beisai, and he says to the officer of his house, "Havei es ha'anoshim habayis." Bring the men into the house. Utevayach tevach v'hachein. Shecht, the shechting, and prepare. Ki iti yochlu ha'anoshim batzarayim. Because with me, the men will eat in the afternoon. It says a Shiltei Gibayrim. Shiltei Gibayrim, one of the Rishonim, commentary on the Mordechai, also commentary on the Ran. But here we have his commentary on the Mordechai. It says a Shiltei Gibayrim, this pasuk is a remez that the Sudas of Chanukah are somewhat of a Sudas mitzvah. What? Yosef's in Mitzrayim. There are no Yevanim in Mitzrayim. There are Mitzrayim in Mitzrayim. There's no Chanukah yet. How is this a remez to Chanukah? So listen to it. Look at number 7. Beroiv Hashanim Chanukah Chal Beparshas Miketz. Most years, Chanukah falls Parshas Miketz. V'simanech Miketz Shinasayim. The word Shinasayim is no trikoin. It's Rashi Tevos. It's an acronym. Smoil Ner Tadlik. On the left side of the door, light the Chanukah menorah. Yemin mezuzah. The right side of the door, put the mezuzah. Right? Shinasayim.
The Mishnah Berurah.
Shin. Smoil Ner Tadlik. Yemin mezuzah. How many neros total? Siman kol haneros and hashamashim. All the candles together with the shamish. Mem daled. V'simanech nechmad lemareh. It's beautiful to look at. The word nechmad stands for ner Chanukah mem daled. Okay. Where's nechmad? Where's the word nechmad? It's now. It's beautiful to look at. There's an expression. Nechmad. It's a pasuk. Nechmad lemareh. Nechmad lemareh.
What's the kasha?
Yeah. V'yeshayimrim, from last week's Haftarah, by the menorah, it says V'gula al Raisha, the word V'gula, Gematria Mem Daled. Now listen to that. Herzchaim. V'ani yomtiv hakoisev kibalti. I yomtiv, the Shultei Gebarim, have a tradition. Simen acher, another simen. V'parshas v'himikates. U'tivayach, tevach, v'hachein. You take the last ches of tevach. You put it together with the word v'hachein, you get Chanukah.
Wow.
Okay, you take the last ches of tevach, v'hachein, Chanukah. Hey, Moisias Chanukah. Usmach l'suda sh'oisim Chanukah. And then this would come out that if the word tevach v'hachein spell out Chanukah, this is a remez to what the Marshal says. It's a mitzvah to have a suda of Chanukah. Now take the letters of Tvayach Tevach, the gematria of them, the gematria Mem Daled. The gematria of Tvayach Tevach is 44. Kamay Haneros. So you got it? Utvayach Tevach 44. Ches v'hachein Chanukah. What are they doing? They're having a suda. This is a raya, at least a little bit, that there's a little bit of a mitzvah to have a suda on Chanukah.
That was he writes that Malay. But in the pasuk is
where?
Yeah, the gematria is chaser because it's 19 and 19 is 38.
Correct.
Vav is 44.
Right. Good. Rabbi Sai, we're going to take a sharp left turn.
Yeah.
You ready? If you thought you were here this morning to talk about Chanukah, wrong Yom Tov. I'm not here to talk about Chanukah today. I'm talking about a different Yom Tov today. Let's see if you could guess which Yom Tov I'm talking about. Look at number 9. Says the Sfas Emes, if Yosef in Mitzrayim is having a Chanukah party, well, what's he having a Chanukah party in Mitzrayim? There's no Yivanim, there's no Chashonam, there's no Neiros, there's no Dreidels. What's he? So then, while he's at it already, look what the pasuk says. Vayisa Masas, look at number 9. Me'ez Panav Aleim. He gave gifts. Vatev Masas, Binyamin Masas Kulam, Chamesh Yados. Binyamin's gift was 5 times theirs. Vayishtu, they drank. Vayishkaru imay, and they became drunk.
Purim.
Says the Sfas Emes. Even the Marshal, who says it's a mitzvah to have a suda on Chanukah, there's no mitzvah to drink wine on Chanukah. Right?
No.
Nobody drinks wine on Chanukah. Did you ever hear, the Rambam says, Simcha ain't Simcha ela b'yayin. No. There's no mitzvah, you don't have to drink wine on Chanukah.
Drink oil.
So what are they doing? Why are they getting drunk at the Chanukah party? Says the Sfas Emes. Once they're having a Chanukah party, they might as well have a Sudas Purim also, while they're at it. Get the two together. We'll synergize Chanukah and Purim. Once they're anyway having a Chanukah party in Mitzrayim, while they're at it, let's have a Purim Suda. So says the Sfas Emes, look at number 10. Va'amina lefi remez hamafarshim. Let me explain, based on the remez and the farshim, the Rishonim bring down, and Rabbi say, this remez, the Tvayach Tevach v'hachein, is not stam a remez, somebody thought of 35 years ago. This is a Shultei Gebarim, this is 1,000 years ago. This is a Rishonim. It's quoted by the Matei Moshe, it's quoted by Elirab. This is like the authentic remez to Chanukah on Parshas Miketz. So says the Sfas Emes, according to these Rishonim that say Tvayach Tevach v'hachein is Chanukah, Afanu Nemar, I will say the following. Vayishkaru, when the pasuk says they got drunk, hu merumaz al Purim. That's a remez to Purim. Ki Chanukah u Purim heim nisim ha'achroinim. Chanukah and Purim are the final miracles. Smuchim l'soif tikkun ha'koila, closer to the time of the coming of Mashiach. Very interesting. So here, you thought Yosef and his brothers were getting together for some quality family time. Nah, they're having a Chanukah party. They're having a Purim party. What in the world is going on there in Mitzrayim? What's going on in that country? They're having Chanukah parties. They're having Purim parties at the same time. At the same it's one. What day was it? What was the date? Probably wasn't even either. It probably wasn't Chanukah or Purim. Oh, what's going on? Chanukah and Purim parties. Yosef HaTzadik is given a special garment. What is it called? K'sainas Pasam. How much did the K'sainas Pasam weigh? How much did it weigh? Very good. The Gemara Megillah says, Daf Tazayin Amar Beis, Amar Rava Bar Mechasya, Amar Rav Chaim Bar Guri, Amar Rav, Bishvil Mishgal Shnei Sla Milas, because of a woolen garment that weighed 2 selah. Shahaisif Yaakov LeYosef, the Yaakov added to Yosef, Mishar Achiv, Nizgagal hadavar v'yardu aviseinu l'Mitzrayim. The matter developed, the matter rolled on, and we went down to Mitzrayim. Very interesting. Why do we care how much Yosef's garment weighed? I have a busy day today. You know, first I have to give the shiur, then the kids are off. It's a busy. You think it matters to me how much Yosef's garment weighed? How does that affect my life? How much Yosef's garment weighed? What? Because if he's traveling on an airline and it weighs 1 pound, 2 pounds, there's going to be bigger taxes. Well, I need to know how much his garment weighed. Did anybody ever weigh? You weigh apples. You pay by the pound for an apple. Did anybody ever buy a suit and the salesman said, "Oh, let's weigh the garment. Let's weigh it." You don't pay for garments based on their weight. It's the one thing in the world we don't care how much it weighs, right? You don't. Nobody. The suit is by the quality of the material, not the heavier it is, right? You imagine you're trying a suit, you barely could stand it. Oh, this is a very expensive suit because it weighs more. You want light weighing suit. You don't want heavy suits. And then the Torah says, Yosef. The Gemara says in Megillah, Yosef's suit weighed 2 selah. What's the meaning of that? What's the meaning of the fact that Yosef's suit weighed 2 selah? Ask you another question. When Yosef's brothers saw that he had the Ksenis Pasuk, how did that make them feel? Good? They were happy about that? They said, oh, you know, Rebbeinu Shem should only give you good in your life. We're so happy for you. You know? Continued simcha, bracha v'hatzlacha. No, they didn't like it. They didn't like it. What does the pasuk say? Vayikanu by Echav. They were jealous. Does anybody remember, where is the first time it says someone was jealous of someone?
Cain and Abel.
Does it say they were jealous?
No, Adam v'Nachash. No?
Vayikanu Rachel b'Leah.
No.
Vayikanu Rachel b'Leah. What does Rashi say there? Rashi is bothered by a question. Rachel imenu hatzadekas. She's jealous. Jealousy is a darai, is an isser. You know, I'll be jealous. So what does Rashi say? Niskana b'maseh hatoivim. She was jealous of her good actions. Why does she have children and Rachel doesn't? She must have more mitzvahs than me. So it was a kinas soifrim. Says Achsam Sofer, why doesn't anybody say anything when the brothers were jealous of Yosef? How could they be jealous? Says Achsam Sofer, let me explain something to you. Who was Yosef's Rabbi? Yaakov, right? Yosef was Ben Zekunim of Yaakov. What is Ben Zekunim? Right? Ben Zekunim means Kama Shekana Yaakov B'Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever. He taught Yosef. So Yosef Atzaik was Yaakov's main Talmud. So what? Yaakov didn't learn with the other Shvatim. What did Yaakov teach Yosef that he did not transfer and give over to the other brothers? 2 mitzvahs. There were 2 mitzvahs that the brothers could not understand. Only Yosef understood. Chanukah, Purim. That's it. 2 mitzvahs. Doiraisas, they got. They chapped. They understood. They understood Chanukah. They understood Kol HaTorah Kula. They understood mitzvahs doiraisa. They understood talis, tefillin, shilulach hakein. They understood everything. They could not comprehend Chanukah and Purim. So when they saw the Ksenis Pasim, how much did it weigh? 2 selah. That represented the 2 mitzvahs that Yosef understood more than the other brothers. And now this garment, what do you call a garment that Talmidei Chachamim wear? The Gemara calls it Chilukah d'Rabbanan, the garment of the Rabbanan. Yosef's Ksenis Pasim was a special garment he achieved because he understood mitzvahs d'Rabbanan and the brothers couldn't understand it. Right? Vayikanu boy echav kinas soifrem. But kinas soifrem mamish. They were jealous of the Drabbanans. They were jealous that they didn't understand Chanukah and Purim. They could not understand it. And we could suggest, why couldn't they understand it? Because Chanukah and Purim are the Yom Tovim of Galus. They're the Yom Tovim of Galus. So the brothers never were in Galus. They had no connection to Galus. They were always under the protection of Yaakov Avinu. Yosef, who was taught the Torah of Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever, to be able to go into Galus, he comprehended Chanukah and Purim. So when Yosef HaTzadik has his brothers in Mitzrayim, Yosef says, let me explain something to you. I have something I could give you. Now that you're here in Golos, now let me explain to you two things. They have Sudas Chanukah, Sudas Purim. Yosef was saying, let me teach you now what you never understood. Yaakov Avinu couldn't give over to you because you were always in Eretz Yisrael. But let me explain to you the two Yomim Tovim that illuminate the Golos, Chanukah and Purim.
Why would Yaakov...
In fact, I'm sorry?
I was trying to figure out, why would Yaakov not teach this to his son?
They didn't understand it. The way the Chassam Sofer...
He was the Rebbe.
Yeah. The Chassam Sofer writes, this is in the Jerusalem Haggadah's Chassam Sofer. Now we know, Chassam Sofer wrote many Sarim. Torah Moshe, Chassam Sofer al Torah. You have many Sarim from the Chassam Sofer. You have Drashas Chassam Sofer. You have Chela Gimel of the Drashas Chassam Sofer. There's something called Jerusalem the Haggadah's Chassam Sofer. These are the Drashas of the Chassam Sofer when he was much younger. And he writes over here that the brothers, for whatever reason, were not able to comprehend these two mitzvahs of Chanukah and Purim. Yosef, it's very interesting. Yosef certainly understood Purim. Yosef is the adversary of Esav, the adversary of Haman. He's the adversary of Amalek. Right? We know that to destroy Amalek, you have your Sitnoi Shel Esav Amalek is from Rachel Imenu. And Yosef is V'hu Nar. The Shlach HaKadosh says, who's the Nar? The Malach Chanoich, which is connected to Chanukah. So Yosef embodied these two mitzvahs to Rabbanu. Okay. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't understand it. And we know that Yaakov Avinu specifically foresaw Chanukah and Purim. How do we know that? Because the pasuk says that when Yaakov Avinu is heading toward Esav in Parshas Vayishlach, he says, Hatzileni na miyad. Achi miyad Esav. The Baal Turim points out, Hatzileni, hey, na, nun, miyad, Rashi Tevas, Haman. Yaakov is saying, don't just save me from Esav, save me from Haman. And then Yaakov Avinu, it says, Vayivasar Yaakov, Levadoi, al tikri levadoi, elo lekadoi, lekad shemen. Yaakov Avinu was preparing for Chanukah. And who is he able to teach it to? Yosef, but not the brothers. Vayikanu bayechav. They were jealous of the son that's passing that way to Selah, the two mitzvahs of Chanukah and Purim. And finally, when they go down to Mitzrayim, so Yosef, utevayach, tevach, v'hachein, which Yom Tov is that? Chanukah. Vayeshvu, vayishkaru imai, Purim. Okay. But I'll tell you something. Every year we get to Parshas Miketz, and I don't know, start learning Miketz, and I forget that it's Chanukah, and all of a sudden I feel like it's Purim. So why do you feel it's Purim? To me, Parshas Miketz is Megillas Esther. Word for word. Word for word.
Yep.
What are you talking about? What is me? Oh, it's very simple. Vayehi. How does Miketz begin? Vayehi. How does Megillas Esther begin? Vayehi. Vayehi. Okay, shkoyach. Vayehi, vayehi. That's the whole thing. Vayehi, vayehi. Come on. That's not going to do anything for me. Parshas Miketz is Miketz Shenasayim Yamim. At the end of how many years? 2 years. So if you're the end of 2 years, what year are you in?
The third
year. Right. How does Megillas Esther begin? Bishnas Shalosh L'Malchai. Third year. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. There are 3 expressions in Parshas Miketz that appear nowhere else in the entire Tanakh other than Megillas Esther. What are they? Yaseh Paroi V'Yafkei Pekidim. Did anybody ever learn that this week? Do you hear anybody learn that? Right? Yaseh Paroi V'Yafkei Pekidim. Right? But you look at the words V'Yafkei Pekidim. Says the Baal Turim, there's only one other time in the whole Torah that this expression appears. V'Yafkei HaMelech Pekidim. So the Baal Turim points out, very interesting, that just contrast the Pekidim that Paroi made and the Pekidim that Achashverosh made. Paroi made Pekidim to gather food. He became wealthy. Achashverosh made Pekidim to gather Noshim. He became poor. So you have to know what to be Maccabes. I'm just telling you the Baal Turim. Achashverosh gathered. What was he gathering? No, he was having a nashim. Yeah, no, because another similar expression. Look at me, case again, number 17. V'yikbetzu es kol oichel. Gather the words. V'yikbetzu es kol. Megillah Esther. V'yikbetzu es kol. Baal Turim points out number 19. Beis v'mesoires. You have 2 times in Tanakh this expression appears. V'yikbetzu es kol oichel. V'yikbetzu es kol nar basula. Look at number 20. Yeah, in Parshas Miketz. Vayitav hadavar be'enei paroi. Number 21. Vayitav hadavar be'enei hamelech. Parshas Miketz. Who are the main characters besides Yosef, Yehuda, Binyamin? Ish Yehudi, Ish Yemini. Vayasar paroi es tabatoi. Number 23. Vayasar hamelech es tabatoi. They put Yosef on the horse. They put Mordechai on the horse. Vayikru lefanav avrech. Right? Vayikru lefanav kacha yasel ish asher melech hafetz bikarim. Look at number 26. Says about Turim. What name do they give Yosef? Tzafnas Paneach. Says about Turim, the gematria of Tzafnas Paneach. Megala, to reveal, Nistarim, the hidden. Megillah Esther. Megala, Nistarim. Tzafnas Paneach. You look at number 27, 28. I can't even say it. I can't even bring myself to say it. Look at number 27 and number 28. Kasher shachalti, right? We don't learn it like that, but kasher shachalti. What did Yaakov Avinu say? Yosef is gone. Now you're taking Binyamin. V'chasher shachalti. Doesn't that make you think of another pasuk in Tanakh? Kasher avaditi. No? There's another word that only appears in 2 places in the whole Torah. Vayirchatz pana vayetzei vayisapak. Vayisapak Haman. Says about Turim, Beis b'Mesaires. Only 2 places. Now we're going to get a little clue. So now you're asking me, I came here Monday morning to hear Chanukah Shiur, and you're telling me Purim Torah. Right? Last night I came to shul, somebody came over to me, Afreilichin Purim, Chanukah. I was like, great. See, once you learn it, it's mashpia on the whole world. People get confused. Says about Turim, just like in the times of Yosef, in the beginning there was tremendous tsar. They didn't know where Yosef was. And then he's framing them with the goblet and the money, and they don't know what's going to be. But in the end, there was tremendous simcha when Yosef said, Ani Yosef. So too in Shushan. Chilasai tsar, v'soifai la Yehudim haisa ayra. By the way, the pasuk, la Yehudim haisa ayra. When do we say that? Purim. Ayra. Chanukah. La Yehudim haisa ayra is Rashi Tevis Leah. Lamed Hey Aleph. Begematria the 36 Neiros Chanukah. Right? La Yehudim haisa ayra, the 36 Neiros Chanukah. Okay. Another similarity between Yosef and Mordechai. Look at number 34. Vayehi kedabra el Yosef Yom. The Eshes Potiphara was persuading Yosef every day. There's only one other place where it says Yom. Vayehi, right? Amram Elav Yom v'Yom. When Haman was trying to get Mordechai to bow down to him, Yom, every day. Says the Medrash Rabbah. Take a look in 36. Vayehi kedabra el Yosef Yom. Rav Yudin Mishim Rabbi Binyamin Amar Baneha Shal Rachel Nisan Shaveh. The descendants of Rachel had equal tests. Who are the descendants of Rachel? Yosef and Mordechai. They're both tested Yom. Yosef is tested every day. Mordechai is tested every day. Ugdulasan Shaveh, they were equally rewarded. Yosef was tested Yom Yom v'lo shama Elah. Mordechai is tested Yom Yom. Lo shama aleim. They were given equal gedula. Vayasar Parayas tabatai, vayasar Amelchas tabatai. Vayabe Yosef big day sheish Yosef. Mordechai v'nasayin halevush v'hasus. Right. So we have an amazing thing in the Medrash that Yosef and Mordechai were equally tested, equally rewarded. Rabbi said, what is going on here? Parshas Miketz, I thought, is the parsha we read, Shabbos Chanukah, right? Tell me if I'm mistaken. Parshas Miketz is Shabbos Chanukah. Someone tell me why we're reading Megillas Esther on Shabbos Chanukah. Wrong Yontif. We should learn Parshas Miketz Purim time. No? Well, what do we... The whole parsha is Mamish Megillas Esther. From Vayehi, Shnosayim Yomim, Vayisapak, V'yikvetzu Asol, V'yafkei Pekidim, Shachalti, the whole thing. So you say it doesn't end the same, right? No, it ends exactly the same. Listen to this. Parshas Miketz ends, Vayomer Chalila li, Me'asoy zois, Ho'ish, Asher nimtza, Hagavia b'yadai, the man who the goblet is found in his hand, Hu yeli aved, V'yatem, Alu l'shalom el avichem. Miketz ends, peace, shalom, to your father. Ki Mordechai ha-Yehudi Mishneh l'melech Achashverosh v'gadol ha-Yehudim v'ratzoi l'roi v'chav doiresh toiv li'amoi v'doiver shalom. But here it's not el avichem, l'chol zaroi. So what's the pshat? Miketz is shalom el avichem, Megillas Esther shalom l'zaroi, Maseh avos
Siman lebanim.
Siman Lazare, Siman Labanim. So what exactly is this connection between Parshas Miketz and Megillas Esther? So you say very simple. It's the same story. Here you have a Yid, Yosef. He's a young man. He's very handsome. Yefei Torah, Yefei Mara. He's taken, he's put in jail. And he becomes, out of nowhere, he becomes second in command. He becomes the most powerful figure in Mitzrayim. Here you have a young girl, Esther. She was beautiful. She becomes second in command, and the king says, "Whatever you want." Yosef becomes Mashiach Shel Yisrael. He saves Klal Yisrael in the time of famine. Esther becomes the Goyal. Okay, so you say it's the same story. Okay. You'll say, just like in the times of Yosef, like the Baal Turim says, Tchila Seitzar, Soifai Simcha, so too in the times of Esther, Tchila Seitzar, V'Soifai La'Yehudim Ha'Yisrael. But somebody do me a favor, why are we reading this on Chanukah? What does this have to do with Chanukah? Yeah, imagine, just think about it. Think on the weights. How many Ramazim to Chanukah do you have in Parshas Miketz? Utavayach Tevach V'Hachein. That's the Gansa thing. One little remez. And Purim, I just gave you 10 unbelievable Ramazim to Purim. And when do we lay in Parshas Miketz? Chanukah.
So it seems to be a steer.
You sing Ma'is Tur. Yeah? In Ma'is Tur, what do you sing about? Haman. Esther. Right? Bikesh Hagogi ben Amdasa. Anyone here sing about Chanukah and Purim? Anyone here sing about Matisyahu and the Purim Suda, right? Matis, right? You start singing about Matisyahu and the Shemen and Yivanim Nikvetzu.
Yeah, you do it when
unless
you're drunk.
You're really drunk, you're
When
not
you're
singing
drunk,
about Chanukah and Purim.
When you're drunk.
And Chanukah, when you're not drinking, you're supposed to be sane.
Yeah.
You're singing about Purim. So what's the pshat? So maybe this is a little bit. Okay, I gave you something to think about. Every Jew, every Yid, has two pipes. And through these two pipes, you connect to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You have the kaneh, the windpipe. You have the veshet. You have the food pipe. This is from the Shlach Kadosh and the Shar HaOisios. It's from in Kedushas Wachila. Every Yid has two pipes: the kaneh and the veshet, the windpipe and the food pipe. What do you do with the kaneh? You learn Torah, Divrei Torah, Zmiros, Shiros, v'sishbachos. The Kaneh belongs to Yaakov. Yaakov is HaKoil, Koil, Yaakov. Then you have the Veshet. The Veshet is the food pipe. How do you serve Hashem with the food pipe? Achila l'shem shamayim. You eat l'shem shamayim. You don't eat davar hanerav. You don't eat something just because it tastes good. You eat it because it's moyal, because it helps you. It helps you learn Torah. It helps you daven. It helps you sing to Hashem. Which pipe should service which? Do you eat to learn, or do you learn to eat? Of course, you want the veshet. You want the veshet to serve the kaneh. Now, some people, they would like to be eating 24 hours a day. What could you do? You can only eat 3 times. So what am I going to do until lunch? I don't know. What can I do to make me hungry? I'll come to the shiur, and then this way I'll get hungry for lunch. No. You don't learn to eat. You eat. You want the veshet to serve the kaneh. You don't want the kaneh to serve the veshet. You know who the veshet belongs to? The veshet belongs to Esav. Esav says, "Haliteni na min ha'adayin ha'adam." Haliteni. You know what haliteni na means? Just pour it straight into the veshet. I don't even have to chew it. Straight to the veshet. Esav is a veshet man. Vayivez Esav es habechayra. Tagamunkla says, Vishat Esav yasbachrei. Vishat veshet. That's what the Shach Kodesh says. Esav Vishat Esav yasbachrei. Esav is the veshet. Okay, so we know if you keep things the way they should be, the kaneh is the dominant pipe. The veshet serves the kaneh. Chacham einav. A wise man has eyes in his head. No kidding. I thought he has eyes on the bottom of his toes. Well, right? I need Shlomo HaMelech to tell me, Chacham Einav B'Roisha. And the Shoita, where are his eyes? He has eyes somewhere else? Says the Shlomo HaKadosh, Chacham Einav B'Roish Vav. Not B'Roishai. Chacham Einav B'Roish Vav. The Chacham keeps the Vav in the beginning. What Vav? You have the word Veshet. Vav, listen to this. Vav, Shin, Tes. But if you get too carried away with your eating, the Vav at the beginning of Veshet is transposed to after the Shin and the Tes, and Veshet becomes Shatu. Shatu means you're shaita.
Fool.
You're a fool.
The tet.
Or does anybody know where in the Torah does it say Shatu?
Shatu ha'am
v'laktu. Oh, the man! They have to eat more man. Shatu. They got carried away. They were not Chacham Einav B'Roishai. The Vav that was at the end, that was in the beginning of the Veshet, was transposed to the end. The Veshet became Shatu. Okay, that's the first step. But if you want to be really foolish, if you took sonogram of the Veshet, an MRI of the Veshet, you know what the Veshet looks like? It's all shriveled up. When you're not eating, it's all small. When you start to eat, what happens to the Veshet? It gets bigger, it expands, and it gets longer. I ask you the following question. Klal Yisrael, they eat from the Suda of Achashverosh, and all of a sudden Hashem wants to kill them. What did they do wrong? It's just food. You're not chayiv me, even if it was treif, and it wasn't treif. But even if it was, you're not chayiv misa for eating treif. Adam Arishan, he eats from the Eitz Hadas, and he's chayiv misa? Why such a harsh punishment? Listen carefully. You have the Veshet. You get carried away, it becomes Shatu. Get really carried away, the Vav gets longer and longer. What happens to a long Vav? Turns into the Nun. You become Satan. And then the Satan says, Hu has Satan, hu malach hamavas. You get too carried away with Achila, it brings bad news. Like the Gemara says, Roiv Chayli is from eating too much. Most illness is from food.
Wow.
So the Veshet turns into Shatu, turns into Satan. So you don't want to get carried away with your Veshet. You want the Kaneh to influence the Veshet. Now if you look around the Kaneh, any gastroenterologist over here? Yeah?
But we have a physician.
Right? Or the respiratory doctors. The Kaneh has how many knobs around it? Rings. 6 rings. What's the significance of the 6 rings? So the Shlah HaKadosh brings down that it could be, whatever I'm telling you now is from the Shlah. The Shlah HaKadosh says in Ois Reish Lamed Gimel, the 6 rings correspond to V'nochal of Ruach Hashem, Ruach Chachma, Bina, Ruach Eitza, Gvura. Das Viras Hashem. By the way, I once saw suggested in Svarim, you know what the 6 reams around the Kaneh represent? What are you supposed to do with the Kaneh? Learn Torah, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. These are the 6 rings around the Kaneh. You want the Kaneh to influence the Veshet, and not vice versa. You don't want the Veshet to turn into Shatu, and then turn into the Satan. You get too involved with Achila, that's how you bring the Satan. You want the Kaneh to influence the Veshet. How many times in Tanakh is Yaakov spelled with a Vav? Malay. Rashi in Bechukaisa says 5 times. 5 times Yaakov, right? The Afgam Zos, Zacharti ane Abrisi, Yaakov. Why 5 times with the Vav? Because Yaakov wants to make sure the Vav stays where it is. Yaakov says, the Kaneh belongs to Yaakov. Hakoko Yaakov. The Veshet belongs to Esav. Yaakov says, I want that Vav to stay where it is, so I'm going to hold on to it 5 times. What's 5 times 6? 30. Which letter is 30 in the Torah?
Lamed.
Limud, Torah. So he takes 5 the Vav 5 times. This is the Shlah. This is not my own. 5 times the Vav. 5 times the Vav. And Yaakov said, I want to make sure the Vav stays where it is through Limud. You want the Kaneh to influence the Veshet, not vice versa.
Nice.
In Parshas Emor, you have the Parsha of the Moyadim. Talks about Pesach, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. Where's Chanukah and Purim? Someone dropped their wallet. Where's Chanukah and Purim? Where's Chanukah and Purim? The answer is, what do you mean Chanukah and Purim? Chanukah and Purim is mitzvahs d'Rabbanan.
I'm hearing it.
It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. It's not in the Torah. It says Roy Kach. No, it's in the Torah also. Because right after, what is the very next thing? After Sukkot? Right? And in fact, the Roy Kach says that means, what's Shem and Zayis? Which Yom Tif is that? Chanukah. You find in the Torah Chanukah right after Sukkot. It says Roy Kach, just like Sukkot is 8 days, Chanukah is 8 days. Just like Sukkot is the only day you're goymer Nesa Halel, Chanukah is the only other time you're goymer Nesa Halel. Okay? Chanukah and Sukkot. And there's a whole Shiur connection between Chanukah and Sukkot. Fine.
Wow.
What does it say after that? So where's Purim? The Lakachta Soiles, the flour of the Lechem HaPanim. Where do you put the flour of the Lechem HaPanim? On the Shulchan. What do you do on Purim? The Mishteh V'Simcha on the Shulchan. So you have Chanukah, you have Purim. Chanukah is alluded to with the what? The Menorah. Purim is alluded to with the... Okay? Ready for this? Everybody connects to Ribbon Shalom with the food pipe and the windpipe. In what part of the body is the food pipe and the windpipe? The neck. There's another thing we have in this world that connects us to Ribbon Shalom. It's called the Beis HaMikdash. Throughout Tanakh, what does the Beis HaMikdash refer to as? Savarech Kimigdal Hashem Kimigdal David Savarech. In Shir Hashirim, what is the Beis HaMikdash is referred to as Savar. Yosef falls on the neck of Binyamin, says Rashi. What is he crying over? The Beis HaMikdash. What does it have to do with the neck? The Beis HaMikdash is called the neck. You know why? Because what does a neck do? It connects the head to the guf. Who's our head? We're the guf. Right? Vayavar Malcolm Lefneim Vashem B'Roisham. God is their head. God is the Rosh. We're the guf. What connects us? The neck. What's the neck? The Beis HaMikdash. That's why the Beis HaMikdash is called the neck. So the Beis HaMikdash is the neck. Then there have to be 2 pipes in the Beis HaMikdash. The windpipe and the food pipe. What's the windpipe? The menorah, the Kaneh. The Kaneh. The Kaneh. What's the food pipe? The Shulchan, the Veshet. And they're side by side. You have the Mizbeach, but the Gemara in Yuma says make sure that Mizbeach is a little bit away so that they could be seeing each other. They could be seeing each other. Why do they have to see each other? The Belzer Rebbe explains, because you want the menorah to influence the Shulchan and not vice versa. The purpose of the food pipe should be to service the windpipe.
Learn.
To learn. You eat to learn. You eat to daven. You eat to sing to Hashem. You don't daven to fill up your time so that you'll be hungry the next time your meal comes up. The kaneh has to service the veshet and not vice versa. Because if everything is going to follow the veshet is going to turn into the shatu, and then it's going to turn into the satan, and then you're in big trouble. Says the Bnei Yissaschar, the same way in the Beis Hamikdash we have two pipes, the kaneh and the veshet. The same way in the human being you have two pipes, the kaneh and veshet. We have two yomim tovim that represent the kaneh and the veshet. You have Chanukah. Chanukah is the kaneh. L'haidos l'halal. Zmiros shiur zevach. The veshet is Purim. Nishta v'simcha. So now here's where we come in. Who do you want to schlep to who? You want to bring the veshet to the kaneh? Or you want to bring the kaneh to the veshet? Who's the king and who's the mishari? Who services who? Who's going to move to who? You want to take the kaneh and say, the veshet is the ikar. The veshet is the main thing. And all the learning is for the veshet. Chas v'shalom.
No.
The kaneh stands in its place. Chanukah stands in its place. And we bring Purim over to Chanukah. Vayehi miketz vayehi. Alu l'shem la'avichem, alu l'shem l'chol zarei. Vayesapak, vayesapak. V'ikbetzu es kol, v'yafgeit pekidim. Shacholti. We want to show the ikar is the kaneh. The ikar is Torah. The ikar is tefillah. The ikar is mirah shiur zevachos. You eat to be able to learn. On Purim, you don't say a word about Chanukah. We schlep Purim over to Chanukah. Is the Suda of Chanukah a Sudas mitzvah? No, not by itself. What's the avodah of Chanukah? The avodah of Chanukah is you want to show that through Torah, it elevates the achila. You don't eat, right? It's not, the main thing is not the eating. The main thing is the divrei Torah. The main thing is the zmira shiur zevachos. So just to have a meal on Chanukah, that's for other times. Chanukah is the one day of the year where you have this fusion, a special kind of Sudas mitzvah. It's only a Sudas mitzvah with zmira shiur zevachos. Why? Because what's the purpose of Chanukah? That through the kaneh should affect the veshet. That's the purpose of Chanukah. That is why the rest of the year we never heard of such a thing. Is it a Sudas mitzvah? Is it not? If it is, it is. If not, it not. No, Chanukah, you have to have the kaneh influencing the veshet. That's the avodah of Chanukah. We have these two yomim tovim. Says Bnei Yissaschar, Chanukah is the kaneh, Purim is the veshet. We schlep Purim to Chanukah to demonstrate that what reigns supreme. What's the yikr? The yikr is Chanukah. If the yikr is Chanukah, then Purim has a tachlis also. So Rabbi say, La Yehudim ha'isa'ira, b'simcha, b'sasam v'kar.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.